Wake.Show, as everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host. Welcome to this Monday. I've been on keto 2 whole weeks, and now I am 243. Woohoo! Yes! 243 pounds, started at 253 pounds 14 days later. I have dropped a couple of lbs, feeling pretty good about it, although we do have something, we do have to talk about that today. So good morning and welcome in, everybody. Let me get my stuff. Oh, hello, wifey. Nice to see you there. And coming off the weekend, I've got a couple of things to talk about, to get to. The first is I'm sore. The first is I'm sore. The second is, I need to share the Wake.Show. Hold, please. If you could do the same, the likes and the shares are much appreciated. Like and share, like and share. Chris does not come in on Mondays. That Monday is his resting day. And we'll be here Tuesday through Thursday. So let's go to the Wake.Show and share. Share. What do you guys, what's sticking out to you coming off the weekend? By the way, how often do you clean your phone? If you're like me, it's never. I mean, like I don't clean I'll wipe it down like every now and again, when you go to pull the phone away from your face and there's a sound that comes along with it, I'll take, just something kind of simple and, clean it off. But you saw an article in a Time magazine that we'll get to today talking about how dirty your phone is. I mean, I know this intellectually, academically. I understand this, and I know it. Hi, Elliot. How you doing this morning? It's just that, since nobody else is here today, I've got Fancy Angle 1 and Fancy Angle 2. Boo! Hey there, everybody. See, this is to remind me that even though I've lost 10 pounds, I still have a ways to go. All right, we'll get rid of this jowl and then figure it out from there. The old man from what? The old man from Pawn Stars died. He was 77. I thought he was 140. If you could live off of anger and grit, he would have been 100. He would have lived to be 140 years old. That was a fun show in the beginning. Like a lot of those original, those old, I don't know. Those reality shows that came out of A&E and Discovery Channel and TLC and those, yes, I know some of those are your Honey Boo Boos, Toddlers and Tiaras and that disgustingness. But there's also some really cool ones that came out, like American Pickers. Did you ever watch American Pickers? That was a really cool show. A couple of guys driving around and dipping into people's houses or barns or old trailers that they had on their property, sheds that had been locked up for years, and they'd start going through there and offering the people money. It was a great show. And that one, too, in the beginning. Then where did they all go wrong? How did every single one of those end up sucking at some point? It just got way too scripted. Oh, my God. Pawn Stars got way too scripted. I think when I stopped watching Pawn Stars was the season that they were trying to get Chumley, or they moved Chumley to the overnights to work in the warehouse or something, brought in a female, tried to force some weird like chemistry or situations between those two, and it just sucked. American Pickers was the best. For salesmen, those guys were as awkward as you could be. Yeah, especially his sidekick. I forget the guy's name now, or both their names. But even on that one, Elliot, they did the same thing. I loved I'm sorry that I forget everybody's names. The female in the show with all the tattoos, she was cool. But again, then they would start forcing these stupid storylines about deadlines or about this. And you're like, come on, guys. And I know what happened. Because those shows were appealing to people like you and me. Elliot, you and I. You and me. Good morning, Nikki Cooper. They were appealed to people like us. But I don't think, Elliot, you and I are the average consumer of entertainment on the television or radio and da-da-da-da. And I think they went, okay, well, if you guys want to take this, they got a couple years under their belt. They're like, how do we extend the life of this? Well, we'll bring in producers from mainstream reality. This is what you got to do. You got to create some conflicts and some storylines. And I hate because that's the industry I come. I mean, I come from entertainment. That's what they did what they were supposed to do. But then for people like me, who's not the average moron watching and all due respect to the rest of you, not the average viewer, not the average listener. It's not an elitist thing or a non-elitist thing. It is. Yeah, it drives people like me away. Like, for instance, were you a bigger fan of, what were the two shows? One was Les Stroud, and the other one was Bear's Grill or Bear Grylls or whatever his name was. What the hell are those shows? Survivor Man? Survivor Man was did I say Les Paul? No, that's his name. Les Stroud. That was Survivor Man. And then the Bear Grylls was Man versus Wild or something like that. Does that sound right to you guys? Something along those lines? Man, if there was only a technology I could use to go look this stuff up. Anyway, did you watch both those shows? I liked one and hated the other. The one I liked, Survivor Man. It was an hour long, no bells and whistles. The guy carried out his own equipment. He didn't have producers going with him. He didn't have cameramen. He didn't have candy bars in his pocket like Bears did. And I know that was just like one story about something and him sleeping in a hotel room or something like that. But anyway, there was something about Survivor Man that was enthralling, captivating. When I went to watch the other one, that Bears versus Wild or whatever the hell the name of that show was, Bears Grylls, I hated it. I just hated it viscerally because to me, I could see all the producers behind the scene. I could see all the, wait, let's shoot this over again. Let's make it look better like this. What? I'll give you a for instance. And you're like, Fish, man, you're getting way worked up over nothing. This is where we should get worked up. Get worked up over the nothing stuff. And that way, when we start talking about the politics of the day, the right and the left stuff of the day, maybe all that angers out. We can have real discussions about how to advance our society. Bears versus Wild. Should have been. Like, for instance, I'll give you a for instance, a difference that really highlights the two shows, separates the two shows. Oh, wait, thank you very much. I forgot to share my own show. Who am I thinking again? I'm thinking the internet. Whoa. The two shows. Oh, separates the two shows. What the? Oh, wait, thank you very much. I forgot to share my own show. Hold, please. Who am I thinking again? I'm thinking what am I doing? Whoa. I just want to hit mute. Where's the mute button on this thing? Hold, please. There we go. All right, so let me share this bad boy real quickly before we move on. We are live. And if you guys could do the same, thank you for the likes and the shares and all that good stuff. Tag somebody if you think they're at work and they're bored or whatever, need to pass some time. We are live. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. So here's the difference between Survivor Man and that Man versus Wild or whatever it was called. That Bears Grylls show, there was an episode I was watching where he jumped, like was talking to the camera and then turns and jumps down these falls, right? Like in the middle of a jungle. And that's Survivor Man would never do that because he's by himself. And you would never do that if you're out trying to survive in the wild. You'd never just see this random fall and go, let me take a chance. It's already bad enough that I could sprain my ankle at any given time. I could get a cut that turns into an infection. But let me just jump off this cliff, down these raging rapids and see what happens. Have a little fun here. So, but the thing is, if I remember correctly, that show was actually a higher rated show than Survivor Man. Why? Because of all the little tricks and the bells and the whistles and the fun little things that makes people's brains go hee. But for me, since I think part of it is me, my personality, but also because I was in the industry of constantly putting bells and whistles on things, I hated it when I hated it. So when I went home, it's not like I wanted to sit there and listen to the monotone nature of some horrible local public access show. You know what I mean? That doesn't bring any personality. That guy, he was, he's charismatic of himself, be able to carry a show an hour a week by yourself with just, camera equipment. There's got to be something, be said for that. All right. So I'm already off on tangents this morning. Good. Let's see here. Got a couple things I want to talk about. Oh, I remember what I want to do next. Thank you so much to Single Source Insurance. Single Source Insurance for sponsoring the first 15 minutes of the Wake.Show. Really appreciate that. All right. So now, oh, by the way, give them a call if you're sick and Chris McCarty's a member now. Johnny Torres has joined. You know why I'm not able to join until next year, but because I don't know if it's a member or whatever, just if you're looking for a quote, give them a call, give them a chance to compete against the so-called big guys, and even the prices are going to be right there. They even told me, I'm just telling you, they even told me sometimes they are a hair higher a month, but just a little bit. But it's that difference there that gets made up when you need them, okay? When you have to make that phone call and it's 2 o'clock in the morning or whenever you got to make it, that's when it's going to pay off for you. So give a Single Source Insurance a call today. All right, Globe guy, hydrate. So, well, the poor old man from Pawn Stars is dead, 77 years old. Well, may he rest in peace then. That show was really good for a while. Is it even? I bet it is still on. It was so cool to watch people come in there and offer these things up, and they would tell the story about how it's been in their family forever and da-da-da-da-da. Morning, Brett. Morning, Danny. Adam. And as he's talking here, and going back and forth, like, oh yeah, this is a good one. This is at least I think $1,000, maybe even $10,000. Or like, and then all of a sudden they grab and they go, well, you see this little marking here, this means this is actually blah 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 blah. It's not even real, and you couldn't even get $25 for it, and it's been passed down like from generation to generation to generation, and vice versa. Somebody would come in and go, oh, it's my dad's old, it looks like a toy popper gun, and next you go, oh cool, that thing's worth $750. You're like, what? Just some toy laser-looking pop cap gun, from 1952 or something like that. But anyway, good morning, everybody. I want to give you an update on the keto diet. I also got a couple of things I want to talk about that's in the news today. We're not going to delve too deep into the ugliness of the day. We just got a couple of stories that I came across that I want to highlight. Oh, what's that in the background? Is that my feet up on TV? Well, let's get a closer look. Why, yes, that is my feet. And in between my feet is a number, 243.4. That is minus 10 pounds from where I started 2 weeks ago. However, the last 3 days have sucked. So, Nikki, and who else was on here that is, hey, how you doing, Mike? Who else on here is following along with some kind of diet of their own or some kind of something of their own? Because the last Sunday, Saturday, Friday, I would say, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday sucked. I thought I was surely getting sick on a Saturday. I could feel it in my throat. It felt like a flu was getting ready to hit me, which I know there's a keto flu. We'll talk about it. And then yesterday was so bad that I had stuff to do. My wife and I were painting all weekend. We needed to paint. And but every time I would squat and then stand back up, that was it. I was like, and after a few hours of that, 3-4 hours, I waited too long. I messaged Eric from T&L Nutrition Coaching, and he will be checking in with us tomorrow. I messaged him and I said, I'm getting ready to go to Publix here shortly. What should I pick up? And he said, actually, because he checked my food stuff, I've been loading in my food into my Fitness Pal. He goes, up your calories. When he first hooked me up on this Fitness Pal, he put me in for 1,900 calories, but this was back at the beginning of the year. We weren't talking about ketosis or anything like that or the keto diet. Well, now that we are on this particular diet, he doesn't want me at 1,900 calories. Now, remember, I'm a big-ass man. I lost 10. I'm excited about 243. All right, so I'm a big man. Oh, can I show you a picture of me with a bunch of other big guys? Even though it's kind of, it would technically be name dropping because they're all famous. But I I want to show it to you and then tell you why it makes me happy. So I'm a big ass man, right? Big ass man. 243 pounds. I'm down 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I think what was happening over the past couple of days is the keto flu that they talk about. I'm switching. My body's going, what the hell's going on here? We're used to working off of glucose, the sugars in your body. They're no longer there. What are you doing? So they start switching processes, going into a survival mode. I'm not going to call it starvation mode because that's a later step, and that's where you got to be careful, or else it starts breaking down your own muscle. Pat Largo, how you doing today? So So hopefully today I'm in ketosis. When I head home, I was going to do it on the way in, but I didn't. On the way home, I'm going by Walmart to get those keto sticks and a measure, tape measure to measure my nipple line and my belly button line and my hip line. Pat, by the way, man, I almost messaged you over the weekend because, Monday Chris doesn't come in, and there's a thought that I've had to always fill that that seat with somebody, be it you or Corey Dillon, Kurt Schreiner, some of the other people that I trust, some friends of mine. And but for whatever reason, it's reason number one, I don't know. Reason number two is a little bit more on the crazy side. It's more of those, I just have this feeling that tomorrow I'm just going to go in there by myself. I'm just going to go in there and just talk to the camera. It's not going to be a day of back and forth. So that's why. But then what happens when I wake up on Monday morning? I'm like, what are you doing? You're such a moron. You're putting way too much on you. Not only that, but there's other people involved now. Chris McCarty, he's got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this show now. Cords Owen and Bake More Pies has a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this show. You can't just go willy-nilly off the hip. And then I look up 16 minutes into the show, and I see, well, we have about the same amount of viewers as we usually do at this time of the show, so we're good. Thank you. I know that I can't make it great solo. I think that's another reason why I think ultimately I need some kind of a director/producer pushing me in the right direction. Whoa, Nikki Cooper. All right, I'm going to get back to you in a second. Pushing me in the right direction because I think that those moments are a little more. They come from a narcissistic place. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like reflecting on those moments, I'm going, or in those moments, I'm just trying to, am I taking my own feet out from under me because I'm being narcissistic? Like let's see, I do the show 4 days a week with Chris, but now I need to go in there and show myself and show the world that I can do it on my own. Because I know there is a little part, that is a variable. How big the variable is, I don't think it's that big, but if you're truly in a narcissistic moment, you would never see it. That's how it works. But here we are, flying solo today. I'm feeling pretty good, down 243 pounds, coming off 3 days of what I'm assuming is the keto flu. And because of the energy and how good I feel today, I'm going to say I'm on the other side of that. Like I said, I'm going to go to the store. We'll get the keto sticks. We'll find out if I'm in ketosis either later on today or tomorrow. Now, Nikki, how are you doing coming off the weekend? She's, well, hold on. She goes, my weekend was terrible. Went to a motorcycle event. Everything was fried foods. Oof, I refrained. Good for you. But I had 3 Mick Ultras, LOL. Went to a restaurant and ate grilled chicken bites. Son went to a restaurant, and the only thing on the menu was keto-friendly was a salad. I ate 3 crab cakes. Ooh. About the size of $50 and 2 fried green tomatoes. Epic fail weekend. That's all right, Nikki. We're here for each other. I feel you. It was a horrible weekend. I wanted to dig into that stuff so badly over the week. My wife just started today. I don't know if Lauren is still watching or not, but she has started today. So I cooked her a cheeseburger this morning before she went to work to put it in her little lunchbox. But over the weekend, not only were there things like these big, juicy red apples sitting on the counter and perfectly ripe bananas, but I also knew that my wife had a little stash of Reese's Pieces that she was going to get through the weekend before Monday, before she started her thing. So there was a lot of challenges over the weekend, and I was feeling like I had the flu, just like they call it, the keto flu. And I'm so happy I pushed through, Nikki. I really am. But all right, so it's Monday. Get back on it. We'll get you back, on track before you know it, Nikki. Me and you against the world, against the Chubb world. All right, so that's it. That's enough about the keto flu for now. The keto things for now. Glad you're feeling better. I had keto flu a couple days last week. Oh yeah, it is awful. It is awful, and it makes you want to quit. Oh, so honey, if you are listening. Man, I can't emphasize it enough. There's going to be, whether it's 2 days from now or it's sometime next week or the week after, there's going to be a few days in a row that you are going to want to quit. So just hang in there. I got you, babe. I got you. All right. Talk about a couple of things. You're right, Nikki. We can do this. I feel good about the weekend. Come on. So in the middle of all that, here's what helps, Nikki. See, here's the thing, man. You were in the Viper's pit. You were in the Viper's pit. There, you didn't have a chance. For instance, Saturday night I was not feeling well, and I was supposed to be on a float in the Pride Parade in downtown St. Pete. Boulevard Burgers. My good friend Charles, this has been his 3rd or 4th year out there. And so Studio 54 theme was going to be a lot of fun, and to be on this float, right? I am feeling like I've got the flu. On Saturday afternoon, I can feel it in my throat. I feel achy all over, and I'm going, man, if I head out there and I end up in the wrong situation because I feel like crap, and here's the key, I don't want to be that person that is dragging down the party. You know what I mean? Where everybody's going like, are you okay? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just going through the keto flu, and life sucks right now, and I want to punch you in the face, and because you stand between me and a punch bowl of Snickers over there or something, you know? I was like, it's just best maybe that I stay home. And if I am going through this keto flu phase, I know that my immune system is probably a little out of whack. And if I'm ended up, in with all kinds of people and all kinds of germs around, who knows what I end up contracting. Plus, the next day I got to get up, and we've got some painting to do. Got to paint the master bedroom. So stayed home. The keto flu kept me home, and that was the difference between you and I, Nikki. The keto flu kept me home over the weekend. Otherwise, I would have caved too. And probably where I would have caved is I would have gone, well, I can have tequila. And the next thing you know, 1 tequila turns into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And not only will that eventually knock me out of ketosis if I were in ketosis, it'll also, I probably only need 1 or 2 of those right now and to be good. And I would have gotten blackout drunk, and it would have been a horrible night. Then the next day, I wouldn't have been able to paint, which brings me to Sunday. This is another thing I think that helped. Stay focused on something else, even though you're feeling like crap. Now, the good thing for me is the stuff that I was staying focused on was physical labor. Painting, the painting of the bedroom, all the stuff that comes along with that, the master bedroom. And by the way, man, I'm so happy. We 2 different tones of gray on the wall, but I'm very, very happy. I'm going to slip in this. For a little Motivation Monday. Not only talking about our weight and our goals, our hopes and our dreams, but also about personal relationships. And because I've spent so much of my career, and I will continue to do so, to bring up those moments in my life that are less than perfect, and which sometimes includes my friends and family or wife, and use like crazy stories and stories that make us look bad, for fun. I would like to do the opposite right now. And yesterday was another example of, I was proud. I was happy. It was one of those moments where I was like, I was right. I picked the right woman. This is, I don't know how many projects she and I have tackled like this, where it takes at least a day, 2 days or longer, and we don't get at each other's throats. Even though it's a long day, some things go down. There might be a couple moments where you're just like, but for the most part, it is. I love doing. All right, I'm getting sentimental now. I love doing life with my wife. All right, I know it's still early. We're only a year and a half into this relationship. I'll get back to it year number 4 or 7, whatever the itch is or whatever. But as it stands right now, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So, got the master bedroom painted. Ready for a party. Finally ready for a house. Can you have a housewarming 10 months after you moved in? Or does it become a different kind of party at that point? All right. Thank you. Now, let's get to some of the issues of the day. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what I did not pull up? Let's see. I just want to triple check now. I don't think I've pulled up. Yeah, there's nothing about politics. Nothing about Trump or anything of the sort in anything that I pulled up today. It wasn't easy. I had to go back and click off a lot of tabs before we started the show today. But here we go. Let's start with how often, since it's right there in the body, how often do you clean your phone? Do you even want to know? Or is this like one of those stories you're like, yeah, I know my phone's disgusting. I don't want to know how disgusting it is. Do you want me to skip over all of those parts of just, especially if you're somebody from toilet to dinner table. Are you somebody that when you're on a toilet, you'll flip through this thing? Are you somebody who, at the dinner table, has it with you? Well, you've got a lot of germs on this bad boy. A lot. Oh my gosh. You see the reflection? I don't know if you can see. Oh yeah, look at those smudges. Oh, delightful. Oh, that's a Petri dish, ladies and gentlemen. That is an amateur Petri dish right there on your phone. So you just do that. Yeah. There you go. And just watch it grow. Watch whatever it is grow. So we'll get to about how often. But that's true either. You don't want to know this stuff. I'm going to skip over this too. I'm just going to get right to the good part. You should be cleaning your phone a minimum of twice a day. Okay? How about that? We'll just start there. Twice a day. Once in the morning, once at night, with an antibacterial wipe. And we can go from there. Now, the good news coming out of the story, because I don't want to freak everybody out. The good news coming from this story actually is, yes, there's a ton of bacteria on your phone, but likely none of it's bad for you. Okay? Yes, there's a ton of bacteria, but likely it's not that bad for you. I only clean my phone when I spill beer on it. So twice a day it is. Well done. You get a single source insurance thumbs up for that one. It gives me a time to take a sip out of my single source insurance mug. By the way, for those of you doing keto as well, I hope you're reading a lot. I've just now over the past 5 days reading all the stuff that I should have read in the very beginning. I'm also following a podcast. It's two keto dudes or something like that, just to kind of keep me focused. But one of the things you really have to keep in mind is hydration. Water, water, water. Also, it seems that this diet can deplete you of salt, so you have to make sure that you got plenty of salt. I know it sounds counterintuitive. This entire effing diet is counterintuitive. As long as you wash your hands after a poop, all good. Cheers to that. You get a thumbs up for that. All right. So as far as your phone goes, it is disgusting, but not necessarily all the germs on there are bad for you. They do recommend, however, an antibacterial wipe a couple times a day. Got that one off the plate. Big week. Big week. Are you guys going to go? Anybody going to relive any memory, some childhood memories? Because this is the last week. This is it. If you're a Toys R Us kid and you want to, I don't know, relive anything, there's some huge discounts. But this is the final week for Toys R Us. This week in American Institution will finally come to a close. All Toys R Us stores will shut their doors for good on Friday. Right now, discounts of up to 80%. Those with less stock will likely close sooner, but discounts are even better. For those stores are offering 70 to 90% off. And then there's a list. This is coming from WFLA.com, a list of all the stores that are still open here in the Bay Area. That's what I'm thinking, Elliot. For those of you that have kids, or Lauren, maybe you and I should head down there before the end of the week and buy for all the nieces and nephews this year. Nikki, sodium helps you retain water. Plus, it's an important electrolyte for your heart. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I thought yesterday when I messaged Eric from T&L Nutrition Coaching and said, hey, man, what should I pick up at Walmart later on or Publix? He said, no, you just need to get a lot more food. You don't have enough food in you right now, and so everything's off. So I just ate more food, drank more water, and then a few hours later, I felt a lot better. So I do have one story that surely doesn't make you feel good. I guess because we don't know the answer right now. I don't know if you saw this on the news this morning, but this hit and run driver in Tampa in Hillsborough County, where he made a U-turn, came back for a family, and ran the guy down on purpose with his 3-year-old and 8-year-old, killed the man. This happened on yesterday. That's a good point too. Going back to the Toys R Us thing, I'm sure those stores are all cleared out of anything good. They've been having closeout sales for the past couple months. I don't care. They're not our kids. I'm talking about the nieces and nephews, honey. We just get stuff that's, was once $80. It's now $10 or something like that. And, if it's great or not, still getting a prize. Or a prize, a gift, a present. All right. So thank you so much to Single Source Insurance for sponsoring the first 15 minutes of the Wake.Show, which turned out to be the first 30 minutes of the Wake.Show today. Single Source Club guy. Yeah, so this morning, I wake up to the news of this hit and run driver in Hillsborough County, which is, not. I mean, there's tragic news every single day, and this is another one of those tragic stories. But the weird thing that's left hanging out there is a motive, because the hit and run, as soon as I saw it, he was being charged with premeditated murder, which means you did it on purpose. Then the other details of the story that came out a little bit later is that he went down, made a U-turn, came back. This man was walking with the kids on the sidewalk, goes off the road and runs them down, but we don't know why. So this is the family. This is the gentleman. They got run down. There's her two kids. The wife wasn't there. But a driver made a U-turn, crossed a lane of traffic and a grassy easement, then sped up and deliberately slammed into a father and his two young kids. Quote, what type of person would purposely run over a family that was just bicycling down a bike path? The suspect accelerated, intentionally ran over the victim. His name is Maquise Morse, 30, fled the scene. This was Sunday, okay? Sunday. Collision was arrested. He was later arrested. But I'm going to see if there's been an update. No, there's no update. So, because I was trying to figure out, if there was what the motive is here, but it looks like, it looks like the chief, as it stands right now, says investigators are still piecing it together. It appears that we have someone who is disturbed. He had recently been involuntarily institutionalized for mental health evaluation under the Florida's Baker Act. Okay. So, what? So this guy that ran this man down, he's a former long jump. Was a 3-time United States Olympic trials qualifier and 2-time finalist, 2008, 2016. So I don't know. If this guy's been Baker acted before, then all bets are off. Wait a second. Let me walk that one back a little bit. Elliot goes somewhere. Chris just put on his headphones. You're right. It is a horrible story. But now that I see the Baker Act part of it, if this guy was mentally unstable, then who knows what was going on in his head. If he was schizophrenic, if he was prone to schizophrenia and then on mind-altering drugs, then who knows? He could have been driving down the street and looked over and saw that man and his two children as, some kind of demon, whatever. You don't know. I was thinking the same thing. All right. We're off that story. Okay. We'll get on to something that is you don't have to waste any empathy on. It is simply a story about what would the new Rays stadium carry. It's a multi-million-dollar question. All right. We'll get to the details of it here in a second. Now, one of the things I've always found interesting about naming these buildings and the amount of money that is spent is it really worth it in the end? I mean, think about it. The Rays have been playing at Tropicana Field since the beginning. Tropicana Field. How many times have you heard Tropicana Field or Tropicana or the Trop? And how often do you associate it with orange juice? Never. Matter of fact, I associate Tropicana with Tropicana Field. More with Tropicana Field than I do Tropicana orange juice. So, but is it playing a bigger, like a mental game, a subconscious game, so that when you are looking for your orange juice and you see Tropicana, it stands out? Oh, I know that name. Reach, grab, repeat. Or maybe you do it out of loyalty, since it's Tropicana. If the Rays are your favorite team, then there's that loyalty component that comes along with it. Whoever's associated with the Rays, they get those fans as well. But I don't know. I think it'd be good for the Rays to name the new stadium the Tampa Bay Lightning. Right, Tampa Bay Lightning Stadium. Have the Vinet Group sponsor it. Yankee Stadium, Fenway, and Wrigley are all ballparks whose name are woven into the lore of America's national pastime. Petco Park and Guaranteed Rate Field, not so much. The trade-off for the clunky corporate handle is typically an annual payout of millions of dollars, a revenue stream certain to play a key part in the funding puzzle for a new ballpark. So that's the thing. It's not going to be, Ybor Park. It's not going to be, some fun thing like that. You're wasting money. Obviously, traditionally, or a traditionalist would be a purist. It'd be nice to see it, be something like that. Fenway, Yankee Stadium. Let's see here. What do we have locally? I'm trying to think of some local. Like some big ones. Do they already have an Outback Stadium out there? Is there an Outback baseball stadium? Because I'm trying to Hooters. Not too shabby. Cigar City Park. That would be cool. That'd be cool. Cigar City Park. That's awesome. Great job, Elliot. Steve Corbin, I've seen you've joined. Steve will be joining me as a guest co-host. Is it already next week? Have we got to the end of the month already? Is next week the 4th? Wow. Well, yes, it is. So next Monday, Steve will be joining me as a guest co-host. Elliot, you want to come in on Tuesday? Nikki, I know you'd fly down if you could. Yo. We won't do a show on Wednesday, but I'll be looking for a guest co-host on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Chris is going to be in England. He's not going to be here. All right, so smaller market. Let's see here. In March, Tampa Bay Rays principal owner Stu Sternberg said a $25 million naming rights deal would enable the team to pitch in as much as $400 million towards a new ballpark. He may have been thinking about the $20 million a year deal with the New York Mets struck with the city, but that deal is the best in Major League Baseball and worked out in its most lucrative market. So they're thinking that we're likely not going to get $25 million for Cigar City Park. For smaller markets, the teams like the Rays naming rights are selling for more modest sums like $3.5 million per year. A deal the Indians struck with an auto insurer Progressive in 2008. Target, headquartered in Minnesota, pays the Twins an estimated $4 million to $6 million a year for the team to play at Target Field. So that looks like the range. And if that is, I wonder, see, that's a lot of money though, man. I don't know how big Cigar City Brewing's gotten, or Yuengling. Yuengling, their partner was that. I don't know all the relationships there, but I know Yingling's got some money too. But they're not Florida based. You're right. They're originally out of Pennsylvania, right? Talk L into. I asked him I would come with. That'd be cool, Elliot. You want to bring Sharon in? You want to bring your mom in too? Have the Pulo sour. Oh wait, Elliot, your last name's not Pulo. Sorry. Oh, that's right. Yuengling got the Sundome. That is very cool. Cool for both brands. Anything would sweeten the deal. They renamed the Thunderdome in St. Petersburg to Tropicana Field. The Bradenton orange juice manufacturer pays about $1 million per year, and that is the cheapest in baseball. There's no guarantee that the Rays will be able to land a naming rights partner. The Oakland A's lost theirs in 2016 and are still looking. Plus, there's a lot of competition for the big money and the right fit. Yeah. I mean, if in 2000 Adam says 2000 Space Odyssey Field, Mons Venus Field. That would be great. Kennedy Jack Shack's Field. Columbia. See, those are. It's got to be something big. Again, it's got to be like a Hooters, right? A Hooters or an Outback. So, Bonefish. What about Bonefish Stadium? Bonefish Stadium. Bonefish Park. Be a good one too. All right, so we'll see if that's even. We'll see whatever, if anything comes of that. All right, that was that. See, the only negative news I pulled out was with that one story, just because it just was so odd. You don't usually see a hit and run and then premeditated murder next to it. It just seemed like an odd story. But now that we realize that the guy may have for lack of a better term, I don't want to say a screw loose. That really downplays murder. You know, the interesting thing about that too is if that's where his head was, and he thought that, you know, those 3 people on the side of the road were something crazy, and he thought he was doing, you know, the work of some overlord or something like that, and he truly believed that's what insanity is, when you truly break from reality, and that's when an insanity defense can come into play. I never knew that. It's only been in recent years that I understood that part of the law. Jenner, you ever delved into, like, you know, pleading insanity or what that even means? Because we always think of the law, people, you know, most of us anyway, unless you are in law, you're an in-law. We think of law like in layman's terms when we use certain terms. You know, the same thing when we're talking about medical stuff and psychological stuff. If a psychiatrist were to use the term narcissism, it would mean something very different than you or I using narcissism, because there's parameters to it when it comes to it officially. So what the what? So what is all the stuff behind me? Just curious. Well, you know, I could show you, I think. Yes, I can. Let's try this. Since you asked, James. Let me turn this camera here. Oh, did I already turn this bad boy? Let's turn him on. Let's turn this on. I'll tell you where the stuff began behind me, James. Crash. Shark. It began because I just needed some kind of a set. I needed some kind of a background. And so Cords and everybody, they're like, oh, go grab some old, you know, radio memorabilia or whatever. Just, you know, pile it behind you like they got on, what the hell is that show? Not 10 Second Take. That's where I got my 10 Second Take from. PTI, pardon the interruption. You know, and shows like that where, you know, and I was like, I didn't really keep anything from my radio career, and everything's in boxes and da-da-da-da. So one day as I'm clearing some stuff out, I just grabbed a bunch of shit. So we'll start right here with this thing, okay? To answer your question, David Capote, how are you doing, sir? Good to see you. So anyway, I'm answering Jeff Duncan's question. So what is all the stuff behind you? Just curious. Here we go. All right. Oh, that's a good shot. I can explain it all from right here. Let's see. This right here, that is a painting that my wife did at one of those little painting groups. What do we got over here? I can see this way. All right. It's my big head. So one of the reasons why I grabbed that there and then all the way in the back, that picture of me had to do with just, it has a bunch of color in it. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. It has a bunch of color in it. And I just figured that would look good in the background, so I grabbed it. And on a personal note, it's since my wife painted it, then it would remind me of her when I would see it too. So it's a little piece of her. All right, so right above that, you see this plaque up here? That plaque up there is from my radio career, and that is from that's a letter from John Gruden. Right after the Bucs won the Super Bowl, the morning show I was on at the time, we did this bit. And we made this treasure chest with all our listeners, and then our listeners filled it up with a bunch of stuff, like all kinds of cool stuff from the Bay Area and personal items. And then we gave it to the Grudens as a Christmas present and a thank you for bringing a Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. So then we got to end up getting a letter from John Gruden there. It's pretty cool. So behind, let's see, over here, where are we now? Oh, right there. That's an autographed picture from Chewbacca. That one of my brothers gave me years ago, Kevin. And one of the reasons that he said, well, the reason he got it, I was like, oh, well, thank you. Well, you know, this seems kind of out of nowhere. Whoa, hey, what the? Oh, my goodness, look at that. It's, there we go. Oof, that was a close call. So I was asking Kevin about it. He said, he goes, well, I remember, because he's 10 years younger than me. And he goes, well, I just remember growing up that you and Jason were always into Star Wars. I was like, you're right. We are into Star Wars. Now I get it. Now this one back here is kind of cool. This was, the reason I brought this in is because this is colorful and big and unique. So this is a helmet that was given to me by the Knights of St. John. after doing, I think it was a couple years, one or 2 years of doing their some charity stuff for them. They gave me this, and it was just really, really cool. One of, let's say, my prized possessions from my radio days, but it is. And it's also reminds me to do more charity, and because there's also a certain amount of guilt associated with this, because after this I didn't keep in touch with the guys, and I would have loved to keep in touch with them to help them out with every event they ever had, and I didn't, and I hate that I became antisocial as I went along. This little guy here, that was from this past year. By the way, is this even compelling? Well, my gosh, I can't believe there are 13 people actively viewing right now. So here we go. We'll keep going. All right. So this little guy here is another reminder of making sure you do positive things in the community. Well, actually, no, I take that back, because I got paid for this. I mean, you can still do positive things and get paid, but this was a paid gig. But this was the Run for All Children 2018, which was just a few weeks ago. And I've announced a bunch of races now. A lot, dozens of races, mainly with a best damn race. But they give out these medals at every race, and I don't take them because I don't feel like I've earned it. Those people that are running have earned it, right? But now looking back at all these races and all these cool medals, I'm like, man, I could have a really cool collection of medals to remind me of all these cool events, because there's still a lot of positive energy and it's fun. And even though I am making a living while I'm doing it, what a great way to make a living, right? Thank you, James. So let me put this back up. Let me put this bad boy back up, and then we'll move on to the next item. All right. Here hidden is my little Be the Thunder. If you're just joining, you're getting a tour of the Wake.Show studios this morning, and what's behind us, and the stories behind some of the stuff that's behind me. All right, that goes back in there. Whoop! Start messing with all this stuff. All right, here's a cool one. All right, we'll end with this one. So let's go back to this. What do we got back here? Let's see. All this stuff you're seeing right in here are bobbleheads from the Rays, but they go way back. They're old ones. I don't think there's one that's like, whoops. Let's do this. Yeah, there we go. I think that is Fred McGriff at the top there. You see Evan Longoria. Who else is up? Oh, that is Fernando Rodney. So these are all old or old-ish. And yeah, so those got to be updated. I think I'm about to take those down eventually. Get some new Rays memorabilia up there. Let's see what else. And then, yeah, that's about it. Oh, my little American flag back there. You see that on the stick? The American flag on a stick. That reminds me of Johnny Torres, so that's why that stays in here. And let's see what's. Oh, and this guitar in the corner. It's fun. It's interesting too today that James. Good point, Good point, John. Good point. Good point, Uncle. He goes, oh, sure, participation trophies / medals. You were right, and that's the reason why I've never taken any of those until that one there, is because I don't feel like I've earned it. Although I am exhausted. It is not easy to call out 2,500 people's names or 6,000 people's names, over a 4, 5, 6 hour period. It's a marathon for me too, and it's a marathon for my mouth. Okay, so that brings us. It's interesting, James, that you asked today about all the stuff behind me, because I brought in something new that I want to put up here, and I'm not sure how I'm going to. But it's a guitar that was sent by Fox and American Idol. This is when I was still with 97X. And I think, and it's autographed by Steven Tyler, Jennifer Lopez, Randy Jackson, and Ryan Seacrest. Now, I think I was supposed to give those away on the air. I think I was supposed to do a week-long promotion and give this away in the air. But this was towards the end of my radio career, and I... my stint there at 97X, I was doing afternoons, and I was looking around. It's a marathon for my mouth. That is probably one we should pull out and play over and over again. It was, I was doing afternoons, and I was reflecting on my career thus far, that up until that point, like being at 97X for like 11, 12 years at that point. And I was bummed because so many cool things had happened. So many cool things had come my way that I completely missed. Moments, I mean, just simple things of just taking pictures with all the artists that have ever come through there, getting things autographed. You know, there's just all these neat little experiences that that I just never saw. I never was in the moment. So I happened to be in the moment when this came in, and you're like, oh, so in the moment you're going to start stealing stuff. I didn't even think about that until just now. So I got this from American Idol, and I thought, you know what? I'm keeping this. I'm going to keep this because I don't have anything. I have very few other things, and it'll just be a reminder of my, of all of those years, because there's a little irony to it too. And let me put this back, and I'll tell you about the irony of keeping this, because this was a bone of contention between me and 97X for years. Hold please. The bone of contention was at one point when American Idol is just, it's number one. It's been number one every, for I don't know however many years. And Pat Largo too says, because he was in radio for years as well, he says, beautiful guitar, yes, that is one of my biggest regrets, not getting pictures with all the stars. Just never felt, it wasn't my thing. I never felt comfortable. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't have, because it just gave me anxiety. I just never felt comfortable with it. So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, a little bone of contention. Well, I would get off the air so many times, and it would go back and forth because Shark, our program director at the time, was trying to get us to talk about relevant content. So me and my partner in the beginning there, me and Napoleon, and then it was Seth and I. So Napoleon and I, then Seth and I. We had good chemistry. We're funny, fun, all that stuff. But one of the things that I was not good at necessarily is, because they were right. Looking back, they were 100% right. My partners and I would always want to focus, like, how could we come up with original content that was funny, original bits that were funny, when that's not what radio is. Radio is so easy, and I just always made it so difficult. Radio is taking the top 10 things that everybody else is talking about in the country. Go see what Good Morning America is talking about. See what, the top headlines from USA to your local papers, what's coming out of TMZ, Just take those top 10 things and then just have observations about them. Write bits around them, whatever. You don't have to do anything. Just make a little mention. Oh, did you see this last night on the whatever? Can you believe that so-and-so, blighty. Here's Red Hot Chili Peppers. Well, I've got some deep-rooted issues concerning that. I don't know why. I make life harder than it needs to be, but I do. Back to this. So we get off the air, and Shark's like, man, you guys, I tuned in at 7:20, and you were talking about, whatever, some personal matter or this or da-da-da-da. And when last night it was the season finale of American Idol, and everybody's talking about American Idol today. And so this was one of those things that was just, that conversation would make me angry. It wouldn't ever convince me, hey, this is what you need to be doing. It would just be one of those things like an F you. Don't tell me I need to be talking about effing American Idol in order to get ratings. And it's because in my head, I'm like, in all due respect to everybody else, those are for the talentless. Okay? If you are a corporate a-hole putting together a radio station, I'm sorry, I don't know why. Hold on. There's no reason for me to project right now, right? There's no reason. If you're an engineer and you're looking to manufacture a radio show and you don't have to count, or you want to not count on the people that are delivering the content. You want to not rely on their abilities, their talents to connect, to be entertaining. Then you go and you can grab anybody and say, here are the top 10 things that people are talking about. Just talk about this and we should be fine. I guess that's what it was. I just felt like a parasite, and I've used this analogy before. I felt like when I was in radio, I was a vulture feeding off the carcass of pop culture. So, being in radio, there was no, or I couldn't get over. Because the thing is, you could be very creative. You can be very creative about the topics of the day. But I just had this thing. It just started to grind at me. And whatever, I just, whatever. But all right, so I'm dragging that on too long, and I'm already boring you guys, I know. But anyway, so the story behind that guitar, that American Idol guitar, when I chose to keep it in those waning days of 97X, of my time there, I also laughed because I had reached a point where I got it. I got what they were talking about, and they were right. And we should have been all over American Idol. And because that's what I did in the beginning of my career. Like before I got to Tampa and thought I was hot shit, that's exactly what I do. I would go through, Maxim magazine, what's number one on the ratings. We talk about, so this is going back to the 90s. You're doing bits around Friends and Seinfeld and da-da-da-da-da. All the stuff's happening in pop culture. And then one day, and this happens every now and again, you see it happen to actors, you see it happen to comedians, you see it happen to people in bands. They start to take themselves too seriously. And I think that's what happened, is I got to a point where, because of where I'd gotten in the media, and I felt pretty good about it. I think subconsciously it started to, the narcissism starts to grow a little bit more, and you start to take yourself too seriously and go, no, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to talk about this. Now, there's a caveat to that. Like if you're thinking it's just driven by narcissism, it is not. A lot of it did have to do with, believe it or not, it had to do with 9/11, because once 9/11 happened, it rattled my world. It changed everything. Now, I know that sounds like an understatement because it did for everybody. One of the ways that it affected me is it seemed superficial now. What I had been doing the previous 10 years of my career, 9 years of my career, seemed meaningless and superficial. And all I'm doing, like I said, I'm the vulture of the carcass of pop culture. I'd come in, and it was also easy. Come in and go, oh, let's talk about this is the stuff that's happening in the news and pop culture. Oh, write a little joke here, have a little street stunt here, over here, and boop, up here comes my paycheck. And people tell me they love me and love my show. This is awesome. This is great. Then all of a sudden, 9/11 and everything that transpired afterwards, it sent my brain into a completely different direction. Then it was very hard for me to reconcile the superficial content of the day with the outside world, and that was a slow descent from there into misery for me, into depression, and so on and so forth. But we're not going to spiral down there today, ladies and gentlemen. And if Chris McCarty was in here right now, we would end with a song. But since he's not in here, I'll have to sing you a song. Right after I show you my one last prized possession. This is cool. This is kind of cool. I'm going to show you a picture from the 6th annual Moffitt Classic. It was from Monday, November 21st, 2005, at Old Memorial Golf Club to benefit the H. Lee Moffitt Cancer Center and Research Institute. All right, so there's the little plaque there. Well, on the other side here is a photo. I wonder if I could do better out here. Try this. Let's try this one. I got too many lights. Yeah, it might be too much. So I'll just have to tell you. So in this photograph, from left to right, is a photograph of 5 guys that played golf together in this tournament. It was a celebrity golf tournament, and I was the celebrity of this group. How cool is that? a kid, first generation off the farm. His dad is a mailman. His mom, a great mother, great wife. Sometimes she's taking care of the home. Sometimes she's working. Sometimes she's aiding the schools. First generation off the farm. And next thing you know, I'm the celebrity. I'm a celebrity in a local golf tournament. Thanks, Crash. So here's what happened. You paid a lot of money. This is at an Old Memorial. And for those of you that know golf, I don't have to explain to you. For those of you who don't know golf, Old Memorial is a hidden golf course here in the Bay Area. It is private, very private. And so you can't get on it unless you know somebody. They have a tournament out there. At least they used to. And this was for Moffitt. So I go out there as the celebrity. And here's the foursome. Here's the foursome. Carl Everett. Baseball fans will know him as a former Chicago White Sox. White Sox. Not only that, but this is November 21st. It was only a few weeks prior to this that he and the White Sox won the World Series. So I'm playing with a World Series champion right there. Right next to him, me, the celebrity of the group. Right next to me on this side, Doug Williams. Hall of Famer Doug Williams. I'm the celebrity in the group. Right next to him, Tito Martinez, former Tampa Bay Yankee or former New York Yankee. And right next to him, Fred McGriff, the crime dog. And so the joke was that day that I was their celebrity. And this was one of the coolest moments in my entire life. Not only that, but two other things came out of this day that I have to look back on fondly. One, I hit one of my best putts, made one of my best putts I've ever made, ever playing golf. And I can't remember if it was number 8, number 9, somewhere 10, somewhere in there. But anyway, it's this huge green. The pin was way in the front. It's double undulation going down. I mean, this is like an 80-foot putt, something disgusting. You know, it's a putt and pray, as they say. And so I hit the ball, and the damn thing goes in front of these four guys. That was really cool. The second thing was, I'm a big guy. Right now, I'm down to 243, but I was probably somewhere in the 250 range here. And it was nice to be able to take my picture next to a guy, Doug Williams, who is a giant former quarterback, and feel kind of small, or feel like I at least fit in. I'm not the big, like normally when I take pictures with people, it looks like 4 people taking a picture with a giant. And so that was kind of cool too. So, Mr. Duncan, there you go. The stories of all the stuff behind me. There's a couple of glasses there from Masteries, an old radio. Okay, I'm not done. There's an old radio back there, too, because that's a little, I don't know if you can see it way back here in the corner. There you go, right there. An old-timey radio there. That's kind of a little nod to where I came from. And then I guess, okay, I'll show you that one last thing then. So then you see a Chris McCarty CD. Chris McCarty CD there, and then this thing. One day we had a listener come in the studio, or actually call Seth or Danielle and say, "Hey, can I come by and draw you guys or take pictures of you guys because I want to do something crazy with it?" And so of course we said yes. Then he shows up. I don't remember how much longer after that, and brings these big boards. Danielle has one. Seth has one. I have. I don't know if they still have theirs or not, but I kept mine. And I don't know. So there you go. But the reason that I brought it in here is because it has so much color, and I wanted color in the background. So I was like, all right, this is something from my radio career that has color. I'm bringing it in. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple of other little knickknacks and books back there, a Harry Potter notebook. But those things will be, for those of you that actually visit the studio one day. Pat Largo, this is cool. I love the stories, and you are a humble person that took fame with a grain of salt. Speaking of which, don't forget your salt intake. You're right. I need to drink more water, too. I don't feel like I've been drinking enough water today. All right. Well, there you go. A little trip down memory lane. Thank you so much for watching. Well, that is it. Chris McCarty will be in tomorrow. I got to go home and do a lot of food prepping now, meal prepping. And now that my wife is on board with this keto diet, it's going to help me because I've been kind of winging it. But now that she's on and I realize you can't wing, this is going to make me focus because I want her to be successful too. I want her to be happy too. And so I got a lot of work to do this afternoon. So thank you so much for being part of the Wake.Show. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the engagements, the comments. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Chris McCarty will